Hello and welcome to my Northern Premier League Midlands Division Review, your weekly home for everything happening in the NPL Midlands. I'm David Garton. I'll be breaking down all the key results from the past week, analysing the big talking points and checking in on how the league table is shaping up and looking ahead to the next round of games. Fortunately, I've had a bit of a cold, so I've lost my voice. Obviously, doing the commentary yesterday for Bedworth United is giving it a bit of a struggle, so I'm going to do my best to get through it this week. So firstly, I'd like to discuss some points from the league that have caught my attention this week. So we've seen plenty of player transfers and also some boardroom movement, a couple of teams. So we'll start with Rugby Town. At the start of the week, they said goodbye to defender Blue McNeil, who's left the club. He made 25 appearances since joining them from Rushden Diamonds. And they also had a couple of sign-ins. So on Friday, it was announced that Drew Lowe was joining Grant Joshua's squad. The 23-year-old former Anstey Nomads and Loughborough Students man has joined on dual registration from Corn Football Club. Grant Joshua also added young defender Archer Murray on a work experience on loan from Northampton Town until the end of the season. Coleshill Town. So Coleshill Town were pleased to announce the signing of attacking midfielder Ollie Burgundy from Sutton United. Harry Harris said he was looking forward to working with Ollie and pleased to give another lad a chance from step 6. He has the ability to step up to step 4, so he just needs to get to speed with the level of football, and hopefully some coaching can improve his game and he'll become a regular at Coleshill Town. Basford have signed a highly rated striker Niall Blake from promotion chasing Anstey Nomads. Racing Club Warwick were delighted to announce the signing of Daniel Recker. The forward joins from Coventry Sphinx, where he made 17 appearances this season. The club said they would like to place on record thanks to Coventry Sphinx for the assistance of completing the transfer. Recker came through Alva Church's under-18 setup before going on to sign first-team forms. He's also featured for Worcester Raiders and Rugby Town and Rugby Borough. One that came through late signing, but an early signing on a Saturday to be announced. Kyle Carey has signed for Wellingborough Town. So prior to his move, the forward spent the last 3 years with Coventry Sphinx. In the 24-25 season, he recorded 17 goals in all competitions and finishes the club's top goal scorer. So far this season, he's been the top goal scorer for Coventry Sphinx. The manager had this to say about the addition. I've always felt Kyle has been one of the best attacking midfielders we've come up against. He's an exciting player who can both create and score goals. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do for us. He'll add real quality in the final third and complement the attacking options we already have. I'm delighted to have Kyle in. I think a lot of teams are after Kyle Carey. I've seen him play quite a few times, especially with his time at Coventry United when I was doing the commentary there and a few bits of media work. A very good striker and I think a very good addition for Wellingborough Town. Bedworth United. So Bedworth United, the managers, Jamie Lenton and Andy Penny, were pleased to announce the signing of midfielder Jack Redhead. Jack comes with a wealth of experience and will add quality to a competitive midfield. Joint manager Jamie Lenton added, "I've wanted to sign Jack for a long time. As soon as he became available, we wanted to act quick. There was a lot of clubs after him, so I'm delighted he decided to join us." Jack had this to add. Jack said, "I'm delighted to sign for a great club. Knowing Lentz for a couple of years, his knowledge of the game will help me reach new levels. Can't wait to get stuck in and help the team finish the last part of the season." Jack had signed from Coventry Sphinx. So we had a couple of boardroom movements last week as well. So Bedworth United announced that Alan Ison has stepped down from his role as vice chairman. Bedworth said they'd like to take this opportunity to thank Alan for his incredible dedication and service over the last 10 years. Alan had left a meaningful imprint on our community throughout his years at the club. We also had another announcement from Mickleover. So Don Amott, who's the chairman, who's been there for 10 years, announced he's decided to step down as chairman at the end of the season. Don is 77 this year and is hoping to spend more time with his wife Mary and the rest of his family. Don became chairman at Mickleover October 2015 and has transformed the club on and off the pitch over the last decade. So we'll have a roundup of the games from this week. So we had some midweek action. So we had Rushden Diamonds versus Anstey Nomads. That finished 2-2. So Rushden Diamonds went into a 2-0 lead with 2 goals from Bruno Andrade, who scored in the 21st and 25th minutes. Only for Anstey to get one back on the 47th minute in the first half in added time. And then Leo Murphy got the equaliser in the 90th minute to make sure the points were shared. Another midweek game, we had Carlton Town versus Long Eaton United. So Carlton Town took the lead on the 40th minute, Ashley Chambers. So we go into the half-time 1-0 up. Chambers would continue his scoring form and ended with a hat-trick in the second half. But it was Lewis Droe who got the second for Carlton Town first on the 54th minute. Chambers would score on the 58th and then complete his hat-trick on the 64th. Owen Betts did get a late a late consolation goal for Long Eaton United. Obviously, wasn't enough to mount a comeback. There was a game Wednesday, Corby Town versus Coleshill Town, but I believe that was called off. I think it was a waterlogged pitch. We had a lot of rain last week, so that game will have to be rearranged. I'm sure I read somewhere that's the third or fourth time that game's been rearranged this season, so maybe they'll play at some point eventually. So on Saturday we had a full round of games, a full fixture of games. So we start with Basford United versus Racing Club Warwick. So Racing Club Warwick took the lead with James Hancock, who's recently signed from Coventry Sphinx, on the 30th minute. But it was Basford who brought on Jordan Hallam in the second half, who would come away with the 3 points. Hallam would score on the 57th, 87th and 92nd minutes, complete his hat-trick, would put into 8 goals for the season. Then we have Bedworth United versus Shepshed Dynamo. So Shepshed Dynamo, well, this is a game I covered, so I know a bit more about this game. So Shepshed Dynamo would take the lead on the 25th minute. It was a good cross into the box, met by the head by Jude Collins on the 25th minute for his 12th goal of the season. But Charles Gordon would get an equaliser for Bedworth United on the 32nd minute. Crossed into the box, came out, fouled to Gordon, hooked it into the top corner. I thought it was going to go over myself. It was actually a really good goal. I watched back the highlights, it was quite good. So Bedworth United and Shepshed will go 1-1 at the half-time break. But it was Shepshed Dynamo who came out the strongest in the second half. Niall Prenderville tapped away the second half goal in the 55th minute to give Shepshed Dynamo the lead. Aaron Corpow would score in the 67th minute. It was a very good goal. And then Finn Ryder would score in the 86th minute, straight down the middle, and put it into the back of the net to make it 4-1 to Shepshed, continue their ride up to the playoffs. Bourne versus St Neots. So Bourne Town would take this 1-0. A Robbie Ellis goal in the 87th minute would secure all 3 points for Bourne Town, and that was Ellis's 5th goal of the season. Carlton Town's march to the top continues with a 4-0 victory over Boldmere St Michaels. All the goals came in the second half. So Lamin Mena scored his 12th goal of the season on the 51st minute. And then an own goal on the 69th minute would make it 2-0. Ashley Chambers would continue his strong scoring spree at the moment on the 75th minute with his 17th goal of the season. Then Niall Hilton would finish off the goal scoring on the 87th minute to make sure the points were secure for Carlton Town. Coleshill Town versus Rugby Borough. So Coleshill Town, who've just got into the playoffs, would take all 3 points in the 71st minute when George Cleet would get his first goal of the season. Corby Town versus Anstey Nomads. So Anstey Nomads would take the lead in the 14th minute with Kyle Tomlin, only for Corby Town to get a late equaliser in the 74th minute when Harrison Jones would score. But Tristan Thomas would get his 4th goal of the season on the 84th minute to secure all 3 points for Anstey Nomads for their continued chase to the top of the table. Coventry Sphinx versus Loughborough Students. So Loughborough Students, who were bottom of the table, took on Coventry Sphinx with their new management team. But Loughborough Students would take the lead on the 28th minute when Ashton Shortland would give them the lead. And that lead would be taken into the half-time. But Coventry Sphinx would mount a second-half comeback with Idris Fassini scoring on the 54th minute and then Damien Kelly scoring on the 74th to secure all 3 points for Coventry Sphinx, which are much needed at the bottom end of the table. Long Eaton United versus Rushden Diamonds. So Long Eaton would take the lead on the 32nd minute with Javan Davidson-Miller with his 7th goal of the season. 2 minutes later, Elliot Harmon would make it 2-0 with his first goal of the season. Bruno Andrade would then score in the second half to get Rushden Diamonds back into the goal with his 15th goal of the season. But then Tristan Thomas Matthews would score in the 84th minute with his 6th goal of the season. And then Jaloku Buki, we had a little bit of late action, would get his 3rd red card of the season on the 87th minute. Long Eaton were able to hold on for the 3 points there. Rugby Town versus Lichfield City. So Lichfield City would take the lead on the 12th minute when captain Joe Haynes would score. Rugby Borough would get Rugby Town, I'm struggling today. Rugby Town would get an equaliser on the 19th minute when rival Mardenborough would score. And then on the 31st minute, Kane Elliott would put Rugby Town 2-1 into the lead. Second half started. Harvey Smith got an equaliser for Lichfield City on the 49th minute. But then Kobe Bivens on the 56th minute would score his first goal since he stepped from Step 5 football to get all 3 points for Rugby Town. Sutton Coldfield versus Mickleover. So this was a one-sided affair. So Sutton Coldfield Town would take a 1-0 lead with Corey Burke on the 37th minute. There'd be no more goals in the first half, but then Sutton Coldfield Town would score 3 more in the second half. So Lichfield would score in the 70th minute. Then Reece Gibson would score his 7th goal of the season on the 78th minute. And then James O'Grady would score his 11th goal 2 minutes later on the 80th minute to secure all 3 points for Sutton Coldfield Town. We then had Wellingborough Town versus Belper Town. So Wellingborough Town would take a 1-0 lead with Connor Tomlinson. When I saw this, when the scores were coming through, I did think, well, I think Wellingborough were going to win this. But Belper Town weren't having that. So Jacob Garton would score his 8th goal of the season on the 40th minute to make sure the game went 1-1 at half-time. But Garton would then score a late winner on the 91st minute with his 9th goal of the season. But then Liam Moran would pop up on the 101st minute to get an extra goal to secure the points for Belper Town. So we're going to take a look at the league table now. So at the top of the table, Carlton Town remain out in front with 64 points with a 17-point lead, followed by Belper Town on 47 points, alongside Anstey Nomads on 47 points as well, but with 3 games in hand. It's still very tight at the top end of the table. Shepshed's charge at the table continued and now only 2 points away from the playoff spot on 40 points. Coleshill Town are now in the playoff spots, followed by Eaton. But Racing Club Warwick had now fallen out of the playoffs. So they've got a bit of work to get back up there. We'll take a look at the bottom end of the table. So Loughborough Students remain bottom with a defeat to Coventry Sphinx, who got 3 valuable points in their bid for safety. Bourne Town got a massive 3 points against struggling St Neots. And Rugby Town and Sutton Coldfield also picked up 3 valuable points at the bottom end of the table to create a bit of a gap there. Right, so we'll now take a look at next week's fixtures. So for me, there's some standout fixtures there. So I think Wellingborough Town versus Carlton Town is a standout fixture. I think Wellingborough Town are going to come on strong, although they didn't win at the weekend. But can anybody stop Carlton Town, who just seem to be non-stop winning games at the moment? I thought they might start dropping some points, but they don't seem to do that so far. Elsewhere, Boldmere St Michaels played Coventry Sphinx, which can have major implications at the bottom end of the table. Also, Belper Town take on Coleshill Town with both teams in the playoffs. So winning for either side will be very important to try and secure a playoff spot come the end of the season. So what's coming up next? So next week, there are 2 midweek games on Tuesday, and then we'll have a full set of fixtures on the 31st of January, the Saturday. So I'm going to go through the fixtures here, and I'm going to give a couple of predictions. My predictions haven't been going very well so far, so let's just see how we get on with this. So the Tuesday games, we have Coventry Sphinx versus Lichfield City. I believe this is going to be a 2-0 victory for Lichfield City, although Sphinx did have a good victory the weekend. Eaton United take on Rugby Borough. I think Eaton United's charge up the table is going to continue. I'm going to say that Eaton are going to win this 2-1. We'll then take a look at the Saturday fixtures. So we've got Bedworth United versus Eaton United. Now, I cover the games for Bedworth United. This prediction is probably not going to go down very well with my friends and colleagues at the club. I'm going to go for Bedworth United 1, Eaton United 3. I think Eaton United's charge up the table is going to continue, and I think they're going to come away winners there. Belper Town versus Coleshill Town, a battle of 2 teams in the playoffs. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. Boldmere St Michaels versus Coventry Sphinx. I think Boldmere have signed some good players recently. I think they're going to get a 2-1 victory here. Bourne Town versus Rugby Borough. I believe it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I think Bourne Town, when they win at the weekend, is going to spur them on with a bit of confidence, but I think it's going to be a 1-1 draw there. Loughborough Students versus Lichfield City. I think Loughborough Students are going to remain bottom of the table. It's going to be a 3-1 victory to Lichfield City. Mickleover versus Corby Town. I think it's going to be a 0-0 draw. Racing Club Warwick versus AFC Rushden Diamonds. I think it's going to be a home advantage there, so I think Racing Club Warwick are going to win that 2-1. Rugby Town versus Basford. I think Basford's charge into the playoffs and continuation to stay up there is going to continue. It's going to be a 3-1 victory. Shepshed Dynamo versus Anstey Nomads. Bit of a tricky one this, because Shepshed have been on good form recently. Can't stop winning games, but Anstey Nomads are up there, second place with 3 games in hand. So I think Anstey Nomads are going to come away with this. I'm going to say 2-0, but it wouldn't surprise me if Shepshed win that as well. So that's going to be a hard one to predict at the moment. St Neots versus Sutton Coldfield Town. I've gone for a 2-0 victory for St Neots here. I think St Neots, I know they're near the bottom. I think home advantage is going to work in their favour there. Then we've got the game of the day, which is Wellingborough Town versus Carlton Town. Wellingborough Town, I keep saying, they're going to push into the playoffs. Carlton Town are clear leaders at the moment. I'm going to go for a goal fest here. I'm going to say it's going to be a 3-3 draw. So I think Carlton Town may drop some points, but I don't think Wellingborough got enough to beat them at the moment. So if everyone who watched this video can let me know your predictions in the comments, see who wants to agree and disagree with me. I'm sure people will think I'm a bit crazy with some of my predictions. So that's it for this week's review of the Northern Premier Midland Division. If you've enjoyed the show, make sure you like, subscribe and share, and don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments. I'll be back next week to break it all down again, hopefully with a bit more of a voice because I've really struggled today. But until then, enjoy the football. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.